Hey, welcome to the channel, everybody. Welcome to the show. We got episode 464 of Council of Future Conflicts. My name is Scott, the proprietor of the Future Conflict channel. Today we're talking the fire aftermath. Well, it's still ongoing, but we're going to be talking about, we're starting to get into aftermath kind of stuff. When Mel Gibson calls into television shows and says, "Yeah, my house burnt down after while I was on Joe Rogan," then we're dealing with aftermath. And then we're also going to be going into some Trumpology. We've got a lot of Trump-related topics to cover. Some familiar ground, but also new angles. Some familiar ground. So looking forward to kind of enjoy kicking that old ball around. Watcher, did we ever solve that settings issue? Were you able to kind of confirm
Which
that the
settings
with
issue?
the one we were just working on before the show
You
started?
you're the one who did it. I
I
I
know I was
I could
just
never find the settings menu.
oh, you could
So
never find it. Okay, I once the show started, I stopped looking for it. So, all right, we were working with the potentially criminal behind the scenes so that he could dump his chat into us, but we weren't able. Yeah, Scott click save. Yeah, I think I did, but I don't know. I was going so fast, and now I can't even find it again. Uh, anyway, Joe, how you doing, brother?
You know what? I'm good. I'm good. Spent the day out and about amongst the fine people of the Flathead Valley. Had a good meeting with the people at Shield Arms. So we have a date for Shield Field Days 2025, and our goal is to up everything by 5 times. So we had about 200 people last time. We'd like to get 1,000. We had about 10 vendors. We'd like to get 50. So we're really going to push it. And July 25th through the 27th is rock solid. You can take that to the bank. That is the date. And it will be right here at Camp Ponderosa. We have unlimited camping space. So come on out. July in Montana is pretty gorgeous. It's a solid place to be. So come on out. Anyway,
All right,
so
Watcher, how's everything going in your neck of the woods?
oh, doing doing all right. Don't want to say too much, but got some complications. But
Yeah,
life goes
sometimes.
on, man.
Yeah, sometimes life's hard. That's the damn truth. It's unfortunate but true. By the way, I did check the settings just now, and I did save it. Thank you, Sean. So I'm a professional YouTuber. Can't you tell? I've done over 400 shows on this channel, and I still don't know how to do everything right. Learn every day. All right, yeah, guys, wrapping up the end of my family vacation here. We will not be doing a show on Monday because I'll be in transit back to South Korea. And our regular show at the regular time will be next Wednesday. That'll be morning time US, uh, and that'll be evening South Korea time. So we'll be back at that point. Um, and it's we got some exciting stuff coming up. With the not just with our show, but in the country, we got the inauguration coming up. And Joey, we got some exciting dates to announce today, don't we?
didn't I just announce them?
Why? But we haven't really talked about it. I mean, so
What?
if you were
Okay.
here last summer, if you were a fan of the show last summer, we did the Shield Field days with Shield Arms there in Montana. Joe just put out the new dates. Could you remind me what the dates are again, Joe? It's July, right?
It is confirmed. Scott does not listen to me when I'm talking.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I was doing the settings thing while you were doing that, so I can only
Um,
cognitively do one thing at a time.
so Shield Field Days will be right here at Camp Ponderosa, July 25th through the 27th. That is locked down, locked solid. They're going to be changing the website and updating it today. Coolest thing about this year admission is 100% free. No buying tickets, no needing to register. just please come.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have a lot of fun stuff to do. I'm going to throw an axe throwing contest. There will be waivers involved.
You need to get a good net behind so you don't have anybody throwing like they did on
No, I'm going to
boxing.
let the
Right?
deer wander through, and you keep what you kill. So
You keep what you kill,
it's pretty good stuff. So that's going to be a really big thing. It's going to be a great thing. We're going to get a lot of good speakers in again, and a lot more vendors. And I think we're going to have a lot more class content too. We're going to get some folks out to talk about dehydrating your own foods, talk about canning, a lot of different preparedness related topics. It's going to be fun. And of course, Shield will bring out some of their toys for you to check out and play with and mess around with, including the new one that will be released next week that I cannot tell you about, but it's going to be very exciting. So you're going to like that. So good stuff. But on that note, I do have. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we're going to have a little, 25-meter range or something like that set up to be able to do a little shooting there.
No, not at a public event. No.
Well, that'd be fun.
But I do know we can make a side trip to the nearest gravel pit and we can make things happen, or we will have a pistol range by then. But but yes, some sad news to pass on though. I forgot to mention earlier. A man named George Higgins has passed away. George Higgins served in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. So I met him one day at the local Elks Club up by my parents' place. They're members of the Elks or Eagles or whatever it is, one of those. We were having some drinks, and this guy commented on my boots having the Marine Corps emblem. It turned out he is an old World War II Marine. He enlisted in the Michigan State Troops, which is the forerunner to the state police, when he was 15, enlisted in the Marine Corps when he was 16, because you could do that back then, and fought all across the Pacific and was stationed in China. So he was one of the last China Marines. After that, he was in the Korean War, fighting in the Marine Corps. In the intra-war years between the Korean War and Vietnam, during a reduction in force, he was kind of forced into retirement from the Marines. When Vietnam came around, George was not the kind of guy to just sit at home. George enlisted in the U.S. Army Reserve and fought in Vietnam as a reservist. So George then came home and owned a gun shop in Lake City, Michigan, where in that gun shop, he had a collection of every service rifle used by the United States or American forces, beginning with the French and Indian War through the present day. Pretty impressive collection, pretty impressive guy with just a ton of stories. I spent hours and hours talking to him. And I was kind of hoping to get some of that on video, but his health deteriorated. And apparently yesterday morning, he told some of my family that know him that he was done. It was time, and he just laid down and and died. So sad thing. We lost a hero. You should talk to those old war heroes, whether they're from Korea, Vietnam, World War II, whatever you have, because those people lived through actual history, and they're fantastic sources. So anyway, thank you, George, for what you did. Bravo, Zulu.
Yeah, absolutely. And just remember, Joe, we kind of grew up, guys our age grew up with those, granddads all being the World War II generation, and just kind of take for granted that those World War II guys were around. But now when you look around, there's very, very, very few World War II guys left. But now it's those Vietnam era guys who are kind of aging out, like guys my dad's age, in their 70s now, and older. And so definitely if you know a Vietnam vet in your life, make sure you talk to him, get some of the history out of his head and onto some paper, or maybe make a recording or a video or something like that. You don't have to put it out there, just record it for posterity, especially if they're in your family.
Yeah, when I told that story to Stan the first time, Stan's like, "And where's the video?" I'm like, "Huh, yeah, that would have been a smart idea, Stan."
Exactly right. No, you're 100%, Joe. So thank you for bringing that up. It's good for us to give these guys a shout out, because none of them saw it. They didn't seek recognition, but boy, they sure deserve it.
They sure do. They sure do. And for everyone in the chat, I'll be seeing our intrepid friend Stan in the morning and Jim, and I'll be telling them both they're missed on the show. They need to get back on it. So
Yeah. Well, we'll be going back to mornings, so maybe the mornings will agree with them in the new year. Who can tell?
on a related note to that, they have a turkey that now lives in the parking lot because the food truck ladies feed it. And so when Brandon and I were working out our meeting, I said, listen, I'm going to come up there, but I cannot guarantee the safety of that turkey in your parking lot. He goes, good, deal with it. But anyway, I'll post a picture on our next show of the turkey in their parking lot. He's pretty massive. He eats well.
Even if the Vietnam guy didn't go to combat, I guarantee they've got some interesting perspective. Just engage those vets, and even if they weren't like infantry guys, hua, I saw tons of combat. Even if that wasn't the case, I bet they've got some interesting stories. So, Sean, nice to see you, brother. It's been too long. How's life treating you?
Been a little while, guys, but yeah, I'm doing all right. Good to see you guys.
What do I got to do to get one of those in my office?
Yeah, there's
that is a glorious present from future Mrs. Martin 2.0. She thought that would be a great Christmas gift.
Nice.
Yeah. It was really confusing when the Amazon box came in, and it was like super huge, but it weighed like nothing. I didn't know what it was going to be.
Like nothing. Yeah. Very good. All right.
How's
anything else going on?
No, I was gonna say, how's Montana going, Joe?
I want to know what's going on with you.
No, nothing new. Just been busy. Been a lot of fun. Almost a 25K. I didn't think that was ever going to happen, but yeah, we're almost there.
Wow. Well, I don't know that we've added a new viewer at all since the last. I mean, because I just looked today, and I haven't looked in a couple months, and I think we were at like 4,003, a couple months ago. So YouTube's doing a pretty good job at keeping us absolutely flat.
Well, I sent a link to a bunch of people. Hopefully, they came on over. So.
Well, it seemed like we did get a boost. I definitely was kind of clutching at straws there at the last minute. I did not have that box clicked, and I eventually found it, and I did save it. So, but they had me doubting there for a minute, but it worked out. All right, guys, let's jump into our first topic here. God love, the functional retards out there in the world, like Mark Zuckerberg. This is a great example of I don't know, friendly fire. And I don't give him, I don't get Zuckerberg and the people at Meta a pass on this, but definitely they were getting pressured by the Biden administration. So this is an interesting story. Now, Watcher, this story has got the Libs of TikTok video further down in it. So if you want to go ahead and pull that up, and we can play that first, and then we'll talk more broadly about this.
These people from the Biden administration would call up our team and like scream at them and curse, and it's like these documents it's all kind of out there.
Did you record any of those phone calls?
I don't think we were, but I think
I want to listen.
I mean, there are emails. the emails are published. It's all kind of out there, and they're like, and basically it just got to this point where we were like, no, we're not gonna take down things that are true. That's ridiculous. They want us to take down this meme of Leonardo DiCaprio looking at a TV talking about how 10 years from now or something, you're going to see an ad that says, okay, if you took a COVID vaccine, you're eligible for, for this kind of payment, like this sort of like class action lawsuit type meme. And they're like, no, you have to take that down. And we just said, no, we're not going to take down humor and satire. We're not going to take down things that are true. And then at some point, I guess, I don't know, it flipped a bit. I mean, Biden, when he gave some statement at some point, I don't know if it was a press conference or to some journalists, where he basically was like, these guys are killing people. And I don't know, then like all these different agencies and branches of government basically just like started investigating and coming after our company. It was brutal. It was brutal.
Wow.
Basically,
All right. So
I agree with BS on that. If there was actually an investigation into Facebook, it would have been very public and would have came out. I think Zuck saw what changing the direction did for Twitter, and Facebook is literally a dying space. And so he thought, hey, let me try this rebranding and see what happens here. And you could tell he's trying to make up details as he goes along because he literally doesn't know because it didn't happen. Now, I don't doubt that they called them and wanted them to take things down, 100%. But I don't trust Zuckerberg. I think he's entirely trying to get on that whole, let me change the way I talk and see if I can get some traction back.
I
But the biggest scary part about this is the government thinking they had the right to tell people what can go online and what does not.
Yeah, so I think Selwyn here has got the right answer. He says Zuck is going where the wind is blowing. Do not trust him, but we can still work with him so long as the wind is blowing in our direction. I agree with that, and I also agree, Joe, that good, bad, or indifferent, as far as the management at Facebook goes, they had significant pressure from the Biden administration that never should have. It is inappropriate at best and probably illegal at worst.
Who was the most common visitor to the White House under Barack Obama? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Mark Zuckerberg, based upon visitor law.
Surprise me. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
So I'm not really buying the whole pressure thing. They might have made some phone calls, but the pressure might have been because they were all in during Barack Obama and may not have been as all in during Joe Biden.
Well, there was an active, and there was an active censorship complex, in place, not just against Facebook, but against all the social media. Going back to the Obama administration, and we really saw it heavily during the Biden administration during COVID. So it's pretty interesting to see how that kind of stuff has all come out.
And that's only the ones that's only the ones we know about. I mean, we learned
exactly
as much as like we learned about Prism and all the other operations that are running. So who knows what they were hoovering? Like, I mean, it likely went back further than that. So, but yes, I do think it's interesting.
You're exactly.
I was interesting. I did see that clip earlier, where apparently the robot himself was getting scared by the government officials.
Well, I have not watched this episode. I've watched a couple clips, and that's about it. But evidently, people say he actually presents himself as a human being in this. So I thought that was kind of
he attempts. Those eyes he's not, the lizard eyes just don't cut it, man.
Yeah, the glass eye wide open. But the other thing is kind of weird is the doll hair that he's got now.
Yeah, letting his hair grow a little bit, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a multi-millionaire and you look like an 80s hockey player. Come on, bro.
Let me read from this story here. Days after Meta CEO Zuckerberg eliminated politically biased fact checkers on the same day his Joe Rogan podcast episode was dropped, Business Insider leaked an internal memo revealing that Meta dialed back its diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. The legal and policy landscape surrounding diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts in the United States is changing. Janelle Gale, Vice President of Human Resources at Meta, wrote in the memo, adding, the Supreme Court of the United States has recently made decisions signaling that a shift in how courts will approach DEI. Gale pointed out the new term DEI the term DEI has also become charged, in part because it is understood by some as a practice that suggests preferential treatment to some groups over others. Yes, in fact, it absolutely did do that, and this, and don't act like this is just some kind of perception issue.
Hold on, I gotta interrupt for a second. Chat.
Yeah.
We tolerate a lot of things for very free speech, but I will not allow you to malign Sweet Baby Ray's. I have a line, and that crosses it. Leave SBR out of it. All right. Sorry, Scott. Go right ahead.
Yeah, clearly that was important. Meta is the largest mega corporation to roll back toxic DEI initiatives following Walmart and McDonald's. Over a year ago, Robbie Starbucks' campaign to end DEI in corporate America ignited this trend. So Robbie Starbucks it has been a vocal opponent of DEI in corporate culture, and I think he's definitely taken some scalps. Yeah, they've got the entire in this story. They've got the entire memo, but I'm not going to read from that. Meta CEO Zuckerberg's announcement to nuke politically biased fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X has caused internal chaos amongst Meta employees, according to internal chats obtained by 404 Media. The interviews with five current employees. On Tuesday morning, Zuckerberg said in a video posted on Facebook, "We're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms," adding, more specifically, they're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the U.S. He says, "We're getting rid of a number of the restrictions on topics like immigration, gender identity, gender that are the subject of frequent political discourse and debate." I mean, this is exactly the right answer. The problem is this was the right answer 8 years ago. Let's see. Lone Star Medit for $10 says, "I agree DEI is dead, but it's now just rebranded as Bridge." I have not heard that. Have you guys heard that?
No idea what that is.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a whole new.
What's that all about?
DEI changing its clothes, but it's kind of like introducing a whole new mythos and lore. I know about it, but I don't know enough to tell you exactly what it is. I just know it exists, but it's out there.
Let's see. I want to talk
like
on
Acorn.
Acorn
never went away. I mean, they just
with,
running it.
Yeah, with all the Soros stuff. Yeah, that's right. The Tides Foundation and all that whatnot. I want to get into this just a little bit before we get off this topic. So apparently there's chaos going on within Meta right now. It says it's total chaos internally at Meta right now, one current employee told 404 Media. The entire thread of comments shared is dissent towards the new policy, save for one leader repeating Zuckerberg's talking points. "I'll call the mood shocked and disbelief," they added. It's embarrassing. See, the problem is it's shock and disbelief because these people have been living in a fantasy land that has been perpetuated by, all this woke social justice advocates who basically created the echo chamber. And when the real world intrudes in, they're like, "How can this happen?" It's like getting cold water splashed on you when you find out that the rest of the world is nothing but cold water. It says no one is excited or happy about these changes, and obvious employees who identify as being part of LGBTQ plus community are especially unhappy and feel the most unsupported in this. Another employee told 404 Media a small number of people are taking time off and are sharing that they are considering leaving the company. They should leave the company.
Seriously, if you need to take time off because of a policy like this, you don't belong in that job.
It says here, morale for fellow queer employees is in the absolute shitter, surprising no one, a third employee told them. This makes me feel good to know that these people are so fragile that they need to get to their safe spaces. I hope that the Meta becomes a non-safe space for these types of people, and that unaliving occurs in appropriate quantity of these people who are unable to handle the real world.
When I was the age of these people, if I had told my boss to take some days off because I didn't like a policy the company made, they'd be like, "Oh, you can have all the days off you want because you're fired." This is not adult behavior. This is not how adults behave in any way, shape, or form.
Well, that's just it. I mean, Joe, you got to remember, people that grew up in our generation had been smacked in the face, not only by our parents, but by our friends and multiple times throughout our lives. We used to play Smear the Queer, as a playground.
Yes.
when you play that, it makes a little
Community
life a little
guidelines
less.
strike inbound in 3, 2, 1.
Well, the Q word is okay nowadays. You can say that.
Except
you
in
just
that
can't say it
context.
except for in that context. Exactly right. Let me know if we stop broadcasting to YouTube. Just let me know. All right. Hey, by the way, I missed this early on in the show. I wanted to say thank you. We got 10 gifted super future conflict memberships from Hunts the Dirty Roofer. Thank you, brother. That's a big bump. We appreciate you. And then thanks also to Lone Star Medic who gave us that $10 super chat. Two very great ways to support the channel: memberships and super chats. If you didn't get one of those memberships from Hunts, you can get your own membership by joining for $5. You get that free members chat every month. If you haven't used your member chat this month, maybe consider using it today. Show people what's going on. All right. H1 green visa.
Yeah, that's what it is. When you're getting rid of the grays, you're turning them green.
I
You're
know, that's
outsourcing
exactly
them.
right. That's exactly right.
Or you're praying the gray away, whichever you prefer.
Oh, what? Come on now, Mexican Ironman.
I know.
You're trying to. Oh boy, this is the way. All right, let's jump into our next topic, shall we? What do we got here? Protest against border patrol in Bakersfield, California. What's this all about?
This is all ramping up for
protests against border patrol.
Yeah.
for Monday, right? This is all ramping
Yeah.
up or for next Monday for the inauguration. So
For the inauguration, exactly right. I mean, and here's the funny thing is that the only Mexican community, or I guess it's not fair to say Mexican, the only Spanish-speaking communities that are just completely dominated by this kind of anti-border are the ones located in California, because they are dominated by politically activated Marxists that are they dominate the political landscape on this. I mean, you can't have wrongthink in these communities, and this is the reason why Trump, of all the areas where the large Hispanic populations, Trump did the least well in California because of this Marxist
based on that
infiltration
video,
of
that is 95% Mexican. There were
Mexican.
200
Yeah.
flags in there. And everything else
Yeah,
was
I
Mexican.
saw those.
So, anyway,
Sean, I mean, I don't know how much you've been covering any of the immigration stuff on your channel. Where do you think this is going to go once we get closer? Well, once we get to the inauguration.
Well, I mean, it's going to get more and more out of hand. Like, there's no incentive for. I mean, the fire is going to rise. It feels like it's already getting out of control. And, why not? Who cares?
Yeah.
Joe Biden will rather reign in hell than serve in heaven at this point. So.
Oh, yeah, there's just been so many. I mean, this has been the most destructive lame duck session that I think that I can remember in my time.
You could argue it defies norms.
Remember
right.
That
was a big thing?
Well, but the sad thing is that a lot of there's certain things that he's doing that can basically get rolled back immediately. But there are other things, like, for instance, giving away weapons money to in the form of weapons and material support to Ukraine. There's a couple other things where they're packing in some money for programs where the money will be spent before Inauguration Day. So, these are the types of things that are looking to. It's kind of like with the border wall. They were trying to sell off those sections of the border wall before Trump could get, and they would rather sell them off on pennies of the dollar then they would allow Trump the ability to then take those border wall sections and emplace them. And oh, by the way, they had already been all that's already been paid for by Congress, so you're just throwing it away.
No, I agree. I saw that, and I mean, it's not a surprise. You're going to take your ball and go home. So
the sad thing, it's the most competent thing that Biden's done his entire career, his entire 4 years.
I don't know. It's pretty competent at selling off the Strategic Petroleum Reserve.
Well, this is
Great
true.
job.
yeah, he did a good job at that. Yes.
Yeah. Well, but the sad thing is I'm of course talking out of both sides of my mouth when I say he's competent at doing something that he shouldn't be doing. But the sad thing is he's being effective and actually stymieing some of the policies that I think Trump's going to want to enact.
He's effective at sabotaging.
Right, which is sad because this means he could have been effective at other things all along. He just chose not to.
Or
somebody
this is the way he's always been.
well, something about that. He was pretty. The sad thing is when you look at the money amounts that he was, if you believe the allegations for his times before, when he was in the Senate and vice president, even his corruption was like small penny ante stuff. It wasn't like big numbers. It wasn't like hundreds of millions of dollars. It was like $6 million here and $3 million
I don't think
there.
we actually know how much it was in China.
Yeah, the China numbers is something on the order of around 50 million is what they say, but I don't think that he got most of that.
But that's why as the rule goes, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. You
You're
steal
right.
a little money, nobody notices.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a fair point. Guys, Joe, what do you think on the border? What do you think we're going to see with the border in the days before the inauguration and then directly after the inauguration?
I think you're going to see not much change. The problem is when you've got a fire hydrant, you got a fire hose on full, it's kind of hard to turn it back off right away. Right?
Immediately, right?
The pressure of that flow. So it's going to take a couple of months to tighten things down. Reminder, the vast majority of the U.S.-Mexican border is just wide open desert. So it's going to take a little bit of work. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's the old turning around a battleship kind of problem, but ultimately I think that they are going to be trying from day one to turn that around. So hopefully we'll see some.
I think too that mass deportations is going to be a problem because we have no idea who is here or where they are. So it's not a matter of just go grab them and get them out of here, putting the habeas corpus on them. That would be one thing if we knew where they were. We have no idea who's here or where. So you're going to have to get lucky on finding these people or some self-reporting.
Yeah, I think that's one part like intelligence program, but the other thing, the thing that I think we'll be able to see immediately are the people who are arrested for other purposes or are currently being held in jails or prisons that have not been deported. I think those will be the ones that they'll be able to get rid of early, but I just don't know that those numbers are going to be all that big. Real quick, we got a $10 super chat from Phil Coggins. The DNC is only good at sabotaging, starting with removing the W keys when Bush came into office. We're not at the fire topic yet, but that's another area. They've effectively sabotaged the entirety of Southern California and turned into a giant fire pit. So,
I think a way to help this along and to get people to solve the problem all by themselves is a 100% tax on remittances to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Mexico, anywhere.
Anywhere.
This H-1B visa is going to cost you.
First of all, it would kill Mexico's GDP because it's probably the biggest contributor to GDP is remittances from the U.S.
Yes, Mexico, but I'm also thinking about India too. We got to go after. We have to go after everybody, Joe. Everybody. No free rides.
I love that meme with all the Indians standing around two guys that says, it's okay. These are all legal immigrants.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Tell the rape gang victims that they're
Oh yeah,
legal,
hey, that's not a real thing. They didn't
because
vote on
those
that.
Central Asian rape gangs are coming here. Yeah. All right. Anything else on illegal immigration we want to talk about, guys, before I move on to our next topic?
The only other thing I could see happening
No?
with some of this illegal immigration issues is what the courts did in response to DACA, where they said, "Too bad, these people are already here. You can't do it." And then it just becomes an
Yeah.
idea of, Trump saying, "Okay, Mr. Judge, do something about it," and just do it.
Yeah, that's where you
yeah.
open up the
Well,
old law book and say, oh, right here on page 895, it says this is illegal and makes you subject to deportation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think if this was something that was floated in the last Trump term, but it was something along the lines of like the DACA people, instead of just basically giving them amnesty and letting them stay, giving them a pathway to citizenship in the country, you basically say, okay, you were brought here against your will, you grew up in America, you're pretty American. What you have to do is go back to your original country, establish your citizenship in that country, and then we can fast track you coming back here because hey, you've already grown up in America, so we're which would force them to go home and then come through an expedited. Now, this is not something that should happen soon. This should only happen after we've had that 6 month to a year freeze on immigration, so that we can sort everything out. But that would be one of the kind of answers that I could see that as being reasonable. I mean, I don't know about you guys. Have you ever ran into people who are in that situation? The whole kind of brought across as babies or very young children and grew up entirely in the U.S.
Yep.
I mean, I've met two. They were both good people. And ultimately, when you're brought across as an infant, it's hard to blame them. But at the same time, they knew their entire life. He said, "Yeah, I've knew my entire life. I was here illegally, but." And one of them was like, "No, I deserve to be here because I grew up in America." And the other one was like, "Well, I get it. I understand why people are upset. I mean, but."
Yes.
But hey, here I am, so.
Like, oh, they showed up in the land where they don't have anything. Like, your parents did that and they figured it out. You'll figure it out too.
Right.
You got that American spirit. Colonize.
Well, and that's just it. Like, with those types of people, I don't mind giving, like coming up with some sort of a workaround, but it can't be amnesty. It can't be, I think you have to basically self-deport, and then you can apply from your home country. But like I said, not until we've gone through fixing all these other problems. Phil Coggins again for $10, brother. Hassan Piker is an anchor baby. Anchor baby is another thing that we got to get rid of. We also have to get rid of chain migration. There are all kinds of things that have got to be sorted out before we can kind of turn the faucet back on for legal immigration. And don't get me wrong, we need legal immigration. We do. But we need to know who these people are. We need to have the right number. And by the way, the right number is not the same every year. If we need H-1B visas, it's because all the students that year took all the jobs, and now we have a big deficit of jobs. And then we say, okay, well, how many? Well, okay, they're 1 year H-1Bs, right? At the end of the year, if you don't need that guy anymore because you're going to hire an American, then he goes home. I mean, we need to be, the problem with these H-1Bs is that they would come into the country and then they would basically be able to stay as long as the country, as long as the company would continue to sponsor them, they could continue to stay, which is not the right answer. No H-1Gs. What's that?
I think they meant no H-1Bs.
Well, there's two people said no H-1Gs.
Oh, no H-1 greens? I don't know. Maybe that's what they're trying to say.
Maybe. All right.
Hassan Piker is here, guys. He eats all the chicken tendies we will not eat. Just so you know. And he takes all the socialist money that we wouldn't want to touch.
Yeah. Stop. I don't want to talk about Hassan. All right, let's jump into our next because this is a good south of the border story. It's a hometown boy does good, right? That's always a good. Wait a second. Venezuela Maduro begins new term as U.S. raises arrest bounty. Joe, did you see this? Do you think this arrest bounty has any? It would do anything?
No, unless Maduro leaves the country and goes somewhere silly.
Yeah.
It's not going to do anything, right? And we had $10 million on the new president of Syria until he became president of Syria. So, but what's Maduro worth? I mean, I've got some vacation time coming.
Well, I mean,
they're saying 25 million.
I mean, remember, Jelani had a bounty on his head too. So,
yeah.
When you let it go from like literally Al Qaeda, like literally the worst of the worst. Like the guy was like BFF with al-Baghdadi, and now we're like, yeah, it's okay, bro. I don't think Maduro's really that worried about anything happening to him.
Well, I wonder if it was somebody in Washington said, well, we just got the $10 million back from the, let's put it on over on Maduro, maybe.
Fiscally responsible. I do appreciate that.
I would hate to give that money up. Let's keep it in the program. Lone Star Medic for $10 says, it says I say send the project. The Pajit. Oh, Pajit. Homes. Just like the playground extraction specialist. Oh my God. Yeah. All right. Let me read a little bit of the story here so we find out what the hell is going on with Maduro. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro was sworn in to office for a third consecutive term on Friday as the United States, European Union, and UK announced a new round of sanctions on an increasingly authoritarian government. The Western countries have recognized the opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez as president-elect and accused Maduro of fraud. Venezuelan president's swearing-in ceremony follows last year's controversial election in July that sparked large-scale protests in which thousands of people were arrested. Even as he takes office for another 6-year term, he finds himself increasingly isolated on the international stage. On Friday, not only did the Biden administration issue new financial sanctions on 8 officials from Maduro's government, they also increased the reward. It's exactly what I said. From 15 million to 25 million. They just took Jelani's reward and transferred it over to Maduro. It's like,
well,
I guess
this is a step up because they didn't transfer it to Ukraine. So let's just take this win where it's at. So.
Exactly. Maduro was charged with narco-terrorism in 2020 by U.S. prosecutors who accused him of backing a terrorist group in Colombia and facilitating cocaine shipments to the U.S., all of which are true. Maduro denies the charges, which, of course, he does, which is described as part of the effort to violently remove him from office. At his inauguration, Maduro struck a defiant tone and celebrated in a red carpeted room surrounded by loyalists and dignitaries from China, Russia, and other nations friendly towards his government. What is that, like Zimbabwe and Iran were also there? Maybe Sudan or some place like that.
Yeah. Well, hey, your friends are friends. I mean, at this point.
Yeah, Kazakhstan. The ambassador from Kazakhstan was also there. Very good. All right. Tajikistan also in attendance.
Yes. Hey, everybody likes stands.
Chad appears to have put down their coup attempt, by the way.
Ooh. They had a coup attempt going?
Yeah, it started yesterday.
A French-led coup?
Yeah, it was an Islamist attempt at a coup.
Oh, I'm sure that wasn't backed by the DGSE.
Massive pile of dead Islamists outside the presidential palace. So.
Well, I was going to say, I'm sure there was no Western influence behind those guys.
Yeah, there probably was, because it's really the one thing they don't have in their.
Yes. Well, we know that Ukrainian intelligence loves working with Salafist Takfiri, so.
Yeah.
So once again, Chad proves that they are the home of the ultra Chads. So.
The Chads able to put down their coup. So the thing that I've seen a lot of report on both social media and also in the mainstream media. Excuse me. Sorry. Are the protests that are being led by Maria Corina Machado. She's a Venezuelan opposition leader who was barred from participating in July's election. I guess she has this moniker of the Iron Woman. Machado has been in hiding since August due to threats by the government to arrest her. In a brief speech, Machado assured her followers that the Venezuelan government is digging its own grave.
By the way,
Joe,
that's exactly the plot of Jack Ryan season 2. I'm not even kidding. That is exactly the plot of Jack Ryan season 2.
The sad thing is, Joe, is I feel like we've seen Jack Ryan season 2 plots enacted in more than one country in recent years.
Oh yeah,
it's almost sad that, like, the Matrix writers who are writing the world simulation program are just taking from our TV shows. Yeah. So
they're just lazy. They decided that Clancy was indeed a prophet, and here we are.
Exactly. I don't know that Clancy wrote that one, but yes, it was definitely divinely inspired by his visions. Joe, what's your kind of end state with Venezuela? You think that Venezuela holds on and Maduro's able to kind of keep it together, or you think that this is eventually gonna kind of shake apart?
I'm sorry, has Venezuela not already collapsed?
Well, but
they're limping along. They're pretending like everything is fine, but inflation is out of control. He's only still in power through the barrel of a gun. So yeah, I suppose ultimately it does collapse unless he gets his dream and becomes more of a leader of a larger extra governmental organization, right? Americasul, which is like a EU kind of plan thing for South America. Keep in mind that the army in Venezuela is not called the Venezuelan army. It's called the Bolivarian army, in reference to Simon Bolivar, who had the dream of uniting all of South America as one big conglomerate.
Yeah, socialist conglomerate, right? Yeah. That's all I got on Venezuela. I just thought I would mention that. I feel like Venezuela is, kind of my take is, I agree, Joe. I think Venezuela has mostly collapsed, but it's being held together through inertia and authoritarian willpower, I guess. But I don't see Maduro as a strong leader, but at the same time, he's strong enough to keep it together at this point. I just wonder if something just doesn't spin out of control, and a lot of times small things have big impacts. So maybe that's what we'll see. Sean?
Yeah. No, I was going to say exactly. I mean, like, how many times have we seen Venezuelans in the streets with automatic weapons they've confiscated, and the Venezuelan military or the police were siding with protesters? It's kind of like in Iran. Right. They were like, a couple years ago, they were like just lighting banks on fire, and it's like pretty based. But it's like, then it goes away. So it's like, nothing ever happens. This gets filed and then nothing ever happens.
Well, you know how these things go away in these countries. They don't have a freedom of the press, and they severely restrict our press when they go there. Yes. They killed them. That's what happened.
Yes. Oh, I understand. I'm just saying they get wiped out, and then Venezuela's going to limp along till it all of a sudden doesn't. I don't think we'll know till it happens.
Maduro has more control over Venezuela than Scheinbaum does over Mexico. No, so but
who has ultimate control over Djibouti? There's lots of hands all over that place.
Yeah, a lot of. All right.
There's Chinese hands on Djibouti. Gotta be careful.
Yeah. Joe, speaking of Djibouti, what's going on with tactical-wisdom.com?
That was the most interesting segue ever, and completely irrelevant. I did not get a new article out yet because life events have taken over and we had a few things to get done. But I am going to write yet another article on why you need to do a little bit more research and why you need to leave early when an event happens. We saw at the beginning of these wildfires, nobody left until the fire was literally coming. And then everyone tried to get on the freeway at the exact same moment. So I will once again be imploring people to think about this. You can always leave early. If you leave early, you can just come back, right? If you left early and you didn't have to leave, you can just come back. The opposite is not true. If you wait too long, you might not get out. So we're going to talk about some ideas for that and some other ways to do alternate route planning and having other ways around. If everyone thinks that they want to jump on the freeway and go, well, then nobody's going to go because the freeway will be packed with people.
Right.
Yeah.
What happened here was everyone jumped out of their cars, left them in the middle of the road, and took off on foot. And the fire department had to come and use heavy equipment to move your cars aside. I assure you, when the fire department removes your car from the road during a fire, they don't do so gently. So,
there's the footage of the bulldozer. It's just,
yeah.
But yeah, people were taking their keys though, and I think that's more of just you get out of your car, you normally take your keys with you. So
yeah, you know one of the things that I thought about, I saw that movie Homestead, right, Joe?
Yeah.
And one of the things I thought about was they really hand waved the whole, nuke goes off in LA and this family is in LA. How do they get to this place in Colorado or whatever, wherever it was, right?
Mhm.
You know, the just getting out of LA during something like that would be absolutely nightmarish.
Well, they could have made a 3-hour movie of getting out of LA, right?
Yeah.
Exactly right. And it probably would have had a sad ending, to be honest with you.
And Joe, I was going to say the thing is about if you leave early, okay, you might feel embarrassed when you come back and everybody's like, well, why'd you leave? If you leave too late, you're going to be a lot more embarrassed.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather be embarrassed than be dead.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy.
Hunt's the Dirty Roofer for $10 says, Joe, how's the dog shelter and sledding training center going?
She tried to convince me today to go and get her a dog. And I told her we already have 3. But interesting note on that is that Thor, the giant Great Pyrenees, is trying a new strategy with the deer. He's trying to get them to play with him, right? And when he ran at them, the deer really wanted no part of that. So now when he goes outside and he sees the deer there, he sits down very calmly and stares at them. And it has kept them from running now, but I don't think it's working. Because I know in his head he's thinking, if one of them gets close enough, I'm grabbing him by the throat. So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
The dog version of a throat punch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know, Joe, the fires thing definitely got me thinking about escape routes as well, right? Because so sometimes your escape route is not a car, you know, sometimes it might be on foot or it may be bikes, you know, or something along those lines. So,
and since you brought up Homestead and fire, in a nuke, the biggest threat, if you've survived the actual explosion, the biggest threat for you in the first 48 hours is fire, right?
Yeah.
Literally everything will be on fire all around you, and you need to have a plan for that. That's why I say the fire blanket is your friend. Buy some, have them available. So.
All right, Sean, what's going on with your channel? Anything you want to promote before we move on?
Not right this second. I know I just got a bunch of like little things I've been working on, but nothing too important. But yeah, guys, just join. We're kind of going over goofy stuff as it happens. We're not kind of out of the, you know, other than the stuff happening with Trump over the past couple of days, we're kind of back in the silly mode right now.
Yeah,
just a bunch of goofy stuff going on. You know, I did a couple of shows that were more like election orientated in the aftermath of the election. And I hate to say this, but I kept on saying like something's going to happen. Like everybody's really quiet and that's a sign of something, but everybody's still really quiet, which makes me like, I'm getting more and more nervous. We've got like 9 days. What's going to happen in the next 9 days? And if something happens, we'll be talking about it. I know you guys will too, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. I mean, that's really my biggest concern right now is what's going to happen in the next 9 days or 10 days.
Yeah, you know, Joe, we've been talking about the other shoe's going to drop. And, you know, I honestly think if we can get past inauguration, I
Mhm.
think our chances for success go way up. But until he literally swears in on that Bible, and that event too, like I've been hearing chatter that the Trump administration is, and we're going to talk about this, I think later here, is that there's kind of some hanky stuff going on in and around the inauguration event. So we'll keep our eyes out for that as well, because
Well,
I am.
here's my
Nope.
opinion. I would be more than thrilled to be wrong. All right,
Yeah.
that we get through the
Amen.
inauguration and all is good. Happy to be wrong. However, I'm not of the belief that just getting to the inauguration is enough. The deep state's going to fight him tooth and nail.
Mhm.
The left is ramping up resistance organizations to literally interfere with everything that ICE and Border Patrol attempt to do. I don't think you're going to see. There's no beyond. There's no chances improving. It's going to get worse and worse and worse the whole way through. They're never going to let him do what he wants to do. Now, great, he's going to try, but there's going to be an increasing amount of resistance to what he does. So when we say this day or that day is the cutoff, then all of a sudden everything is good and we can sing kumbaya and celebrate. That day is not coming. So
Yeah, I mean, I guess my thought is like until he's in, you could literally have a martial law kind of a coup or something like that occur from within the Biden administration. But as soon as it's the Trump administration, almost all the resistance becomes like administrative and governmental friction. Basically what he went through his first 4 years. I mean, that's how I see
disagree.
it.
The left is organizing actual riots and protests to attempt to stop ICE and Border Patrol from arresting people. So he's going to have to deal with that forcefully, and they
Yeah,
might
I
push
agree with
back.
that.
So
Lone Star Medic for $2 says, I vote for a very close haircut for pedos everywhere. Anywhere. Yes, indeed. All right, let's jump into. We're going to talk a little more about the fires. I don't know, Sean. Have you had a chance to talk about the fires at all on your channel? We did our show on Wednesday. We covered a lot of the initial stuff, but there's a lot shaken out of this one, and I get the feeling we're going to be talking about these fires for a little while longer.
I've been talking about it like a lot on locals and just kind of just in general, but there's a really good fire map that I've been using, and it's amazingly detailed about how it's spreading. Basically, it's right now getting ready to burn its way through Brentwood. Actually, I can send you the link if you want. Hold on.
Yeah. If you could send it to Watcher, just put it in the private chat, maybe. Watcher, you can bring that up. So as of right now, we've got 10 dead, 10,000 structures burned in Los Angeles, as the damage could exceed $150 billion. Is it this California wildfires map?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's that one. Right.
There's a screen grab.
Well, no, this is better than that. This is better than that.
Oh, okay.
Because this one actually does. You can also click on historical ones, and basically all of Los Angeles, because they have like black marks to show where previous fires are.
The
whole thing is just
has burned at one point or another.
Yeah.
Well, the thing, like my wife has seen like the picture of the hill on fire or whatever, and you don't really see a lot of houses in that. I mean, there's houses in there, but you see these forests.
Oh, those are military police vehicles.
Yeah, the military police are getting deployed to go deal with the looting.
Yeah, so evidently the looting has actually gotten pretty intense over the last 48 hours.
There's a lot of transnational gangs involved in the looting.
Yes. Firefighters continue battling 6 wildfires across LA County, the 2 largest including Palisades, which is 20,000 acres, and only 6% contained at this point. Crazy. And the Eaton fire, which is 1,400 acres, 3% contained. So there's basically 6 fires: Palisade fires, Eaton fires, Kenneth fires, which is near the border of Los Angeles and Ventura counties. Sunset Fire, which burned 60 acres and triggered mandatory evacuation, and that's those Hollywood Hills, off of Sunset. Let's see, Hearst Fire, which has burned 770 acres. and the Lydia fire, which is 394 acres. So not huge fires besides the Palisades fires, but still, all of these high fires are in areas where it is literally just tinder, waiting to start. And some of these fires have been proven to be arson at this point.
Yeah. Well, did you guys, I don't know if you guys showed it, the footage of people like, now they're just lighting random places on fire. Like it showed them lighting up a bunch of dumpsters on fire. I mean, I'm not surprised that there's going to be even more of that.
I think we actually have some of that here, either in this story or the next one. Let's see. So about 180,000 LA County residents were under evacuation order. Nearly 200,000 were under evacuation warnings. Let's see. Before and after satellite footage of just absolutely just devastated areas. Look. Yeah, and then go down to the next image, Watcher, like right below this is just, this fire is just this would be looking south, I think. Yeah, this is looking south. And this is LA proper down here.
So everyone's blaming the Santa Ana winds. I'm blaming the Luigi Mangione winds. When you look at the neighborhoods where the fires are being started, the intentional ones, not the original wildfires.
Yeah.
But the intentional ones are being started. It is entirely a leftist plot to try and destroy the rich and famous.
Well, what's interesting is my favorite conspiracy theory that I heard today. Now, I don't think it's true, but I think it's my favorite, is that all of a sudden they realize that right before Trump comes into office, they need to destroy a lot of evidence relating to the Diddy parties and the Epstein's Island. And you have such a high concentration of Diddy party friends and Epstein Island people in the Pacific Palisades. So why not just burn the whole thing down?
I'm disappointed. You're supposed to say it's dim Jews. That's what you're supposed to say.
Well, that you knew those space lasers were good for something.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at this, man. This is absolutely crazy, this footage.
Yeah, I mean, have you guys seen one of the Palisades neighborhoods where the Zillow map is overlaid? It like each one of those houses, $4 to $9 million.
Yeah. My dad was asking me about the insurance in the area, and I said, well, when you can afford I was gonna say, when you can afford a $9 million house, I bet you can self-insure essentially.
A lot of those people, though, they didn't. That's like legacy ownership or people who owned a long time ago. So.
Well, but the sad thing is that if you're house rich and cash poor, you shouldn't stay in that house. You should sell it and get to something that is actually within your price range.
But you're in Pacific Palisades. You're like
that's
in
where
the place.
Your parents lived.
Yeah,
and that's where you grew up.
I got it. But if you're in that kind of position, you probably are going to have trouble paying the taxes on it too.
But this whole fire insurance thing and all that in that area is proof that government overregulation is terrible.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why there's no insurance in those areas, because it costs too much due to government overregulation.
Let's see. Yeah, they've given a weather outlook for January, and it's looking like it's not going to get any better going from San Diego, from the Mexico border all the way up to through basically the mountains all through California.
And the average is like in these months is like an inch or two of rain, if that.
Yeah.
So I will say though, apparently the DC-10 tanker is now working the area. There is some footage of it like just screaming right over the treetops.
Oh, that thing is absolutely a beast, man.
Yeah.
There's also news that actually we just saw one of them in the footage here. One of these, which is a super scooper, which there's two of them on loan from Canada. One of the two that's on loan from Canada was struck by a drone and now has sustained wing damage and is out of action.
Well, and there apparently there's some of the part of that they actually grounded everything for a minute too. Yeah, I saw the picture of that. It's got a nice little hole on the leading edge. But I will say, those are pretty cool, too, how they work. They cruise along at speed on the water and scoop up as they go. And they were to the point now they're using the ocean water just so they can get around fast enough and come back. Yeah, just like that.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I don't understand why they haven't been using ocean water all the time.
Because you're salting the
Joe,
earth.
you brought that out on Wednesday.
Seawater is bad on equipment, but when it's the only game in town, you need to be using it.
Well, it's the only game in town, but it's also when the fire is right on the ocean, land takeoff, you're doing quick turnarounds, but also messing with the equipment, they can always go into like a lake and clean it out. But
actually, interestingly, funnily enough, learned a part of the problem and a part of the reason why they are not using ocean water as they should is that they never properly invested in a firefighting boat, which is what you would use to pump the water up the hill in order to do that kind of thing. They rely on tugboats whenever they have fires at most of the Los Angeles and San Diego-based marinas, which there's been a bunch of people hounding the city about it for a long time.
Oligon News for 199 says California property taxes are freeze at purchase price. Interesting.
So there are some people who are paying basically dirt for and that's the thing. The Palisades have been around for a long time. Like that area, it's like the Getty Mansion, Will Rogers, like his estate. All those, they're old.
Now, did the Getty Mansion burn down?
One of the Getty buildings did, not the museum.
Did I see
the Satanic Temple?
Did I see that the Magic Mansion burned down?
The Magic Mansion, like Magic Johnson, or
no, like the comedy club.
Not sure about that.
I saw an image of it, and like buildings on both sides of it were burning. So I was like, oh, well, fuck.
Yeah, I see a lot of people talking about the forest firefighters based in Montana. Montana is home to most of the smoke jumpers and forest firefighting crews in America. Yeah. The Smoke Jumper Center is at Missoula Airport. Scott,
I was going to say, isn't that where they operate?
Scott up right next to the Smoke Jumper Center. So.
Hey, Watcher, can you go down to this hustle bitch?
Okay.
Post?
But I had a good.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say we were talking about arson of one kind, and I'd like to talk about arson of an entirely different kind.
Well, let's not do this one yet because we're gonna talk about that later.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in one of the other stories.
I'm not seeing the post you're talking about.
It's on the it's right underneath where those that SPC fire weather outlook, like it's three or four posts down.
Are you talking about in
the story you had open? Yeah. Real quick before you pull that up, Mexican Iron Man says for $10 says, you guys see the interview where the LGBT fire chief? Yeah. This is exactly what Watcher was talking about. Threw the mayor under the bus on Fox. Then the mayor canceled the fire update press conference and mandated a written PR release and no more live TV. Yeah. Well, that's not a bad
also fired the fire chief. So.
Oh, that's actually not what I was talking about, but closely related.
Yeah, closely. I saw that picture and I'm like, don't shoot our water too early there, Watcher.
Speaking of the fire chief, did you see the one clip where they have the fire captain saying like, well, I don't care if I can't pick up your husband. If he's there, it's his damn fault.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
That one, it's like, geez, I want to know if the SVU, if they could have an SIS detective say that about.
We'll get there.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about all of that. Let's finish up this one and then we'll get to that. So she's going to be talking about the fact that there are hundreds of looters invading neighborhoods. So let's go ahead and play this.
As I was getting my whole family out, all you have in your mind is just you're in survival mode at that point. I saw men coming into our neighborhoods. Police confirmed it. She had this to say. Take a listen.
It was wild. We just started seeing all these cars pull up. doors open and groups of men running up our street, going up to the doors of these houses. And we weren't sure what was going on. I'm thinking, are these people here to help my neighbors? I hope so. And I left, and then my husband talked to the police and said, what are those guys doing? These guys don't live here, get them out. My next door neighbor said, his quote, there were like 100 people that came up on scooters and were trying to get into any and all houses on the street.
And did you physically see police officers stopping them?
I didn't, but it's not to say that they weren't. It was so incredibly chaotic, and I was so worried about my big family and getting them out of our old tinderbox of a house that I was just focused on them first.
I guarantee you that last week she was at a protest pro-immigration.
Yeah.
And now all these brown people came up on scooters.
Yeah. It was so cultural enriching. I saw these poor disadvantaged people coming in, and I thought, oh, they're gonna have a chance to get a foot up in life.
Yeah, exactly right.
With a smile, not there were marauders and brigands in my neighborhood.
Yeah,
and thank God they only felt like looting today.
It was the reparation crew. Is what it was.
I wouldn't, if I was in her situation, I wouldn't have said it with a smile on my face. And I was waiting for her to say, well, my neighbor, the Trumper, was sitting there loading his shotgun. And I was like, what do you think you need that for?
Well, but this, the sad thing is that it's like you have to catch their world on fire to get people out of their liberal delusions.
Well,
but even in the middle of this firestorm, you have ladies like this who are like, I didn't know who they were or what they were doing. And we're just like, what the hell?
Adam Carolla said it best. When it's the Coastal Commission denying your house is when they'll learn how bad they screwed up.
Allegan News for $5 says LA should have invested like San Francisco did after the 1905 fire. They have a dual water system for fire protection, can also use pump stations for seawater.
As a Michigander, I have to object to your horrible pronunciation of Allegan. Anyway.
Isn't that what I said? Allegan?
Yeah, you said Allegan or some weirdness. Anyway. Yeah, Porcelain Thunder, the fact that she didn't describe the looters physically tells you everything you need to know.
Yes, yeah, they were
men.
Boys.
They were just men.
Yeah.
They were teens.
Teens, exactly. They were Utes, ethnic Utes. So let's real quick. If you go down to the Adam Carolla video, I think it picks up from kind of the commentary on.
Sorry, I spoiled this.
Right spot. Yeah.
Sorry, it's having an issue.
Yeah.
These are some of the most
it started
progressive blue voters in the world or in the United States. They are a bastion of blue. So what those guys did is all the people in the Palisades, I checked it out. It's about 80% blue, 80% progressive, 80% Democrat. Now, these pussies are all sitting around crying about Karen Bass, water pressure, how come the forest wasn't cleared of all the brush, what's happening with the infrastructure. You guys all voted for Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles. You all voted for Gavin Newsom. And now you fucking get what you get. Oh, now that your house is on fire, well, now you're thinking about something else. Now you want to know what's going on. What's going on around here? You didn't give a shit about what was going on when other people's houses were on fire, but now you care. So here's what's going to happen. All these people who were deep blue Democrats are now going to have to pull a permit to rebuild. And they're going to get the 28-year-old bitch from the Coastal Commission telling them to go fuck off. And then they're going to vote for Trump or whoever's Trumpian next. You see, they're going to get turned. They're going to get turned hard because, as I've always said, live in the rent control apartment in Santa Monica, fine, good. We know how you vote. Go deal with the city. Try to pull a permit. These are going to be thousands of homes,
all right.
Super wealthy people.
Yeah, I think this is right. I think we're going to end up having a lot of people kind of wake up a little bit on how they have voted themselves into this.
I don't know. I'd like to think so, but
By the way, hooray! James Wood's house didn't burn down.
oh, nice.
Oh, good. One of the good guys actually won. All right. So the irony is that they can't blame climate change on this one, right?
Well, they will.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's the name of the guy I saw throwing gas cans. I think his name is Climate Change.
Climate change.
Climate.
Climate Change.
Yes.
Challenge.
No,
yes,
I
yes,
mean,
yes.
and the other thing it's funny is I've heard people try to say, oh, well, the whole Delta smelt thing and all these other issues, and they're trying to blame the Endangered Species Act. It's like, who pushed the federal government to put these protections in place? The people that live there. So it's entirely all their fault.
Here's my favorite thing about
regardless.
the Delta Schmelt thing. Like, yes, the memes that are like, hey, this is the fish that Los Angeles is burning itself down to protect. Those are great. But my other favorite thing about it is, hey, guess what the law firm did with the money that it got from the Delta Smelt?
What?
It didn't use it to save the Delta Smelt. It just used it to launch other environmental lawsuits because it's not a they're not a conservation company. They're a conservation law firm. That's their place.
Seed money.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, so this kind of we end this story and move on to the next piece here because they have absolutely voted for this, right? The Democrats completely own this fire. The Democrats own the local policy. They own the state forest management. The governor, they've owned that. What if Schwarzenegger was the last Republican governor?
He wasn't
even
really
a Republican.
Yeah.
Exactly right. During this period of time, the Biden administration has been for the last 4 years in charge. So there is no way that you can. They will try to find a way to do this, but there is no legitimate way to pin any of the blame on Republicans. So that's how you get what we see here. Now we'll go watch to that video. The one, is it Libs of TikTok? Yeah, or no, it's In Wokeness. That second link that you've got on the thing. The one you brought up earlier that I said hold on to.
Oh. All right.
I didn't want to get ahead of the narrative.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
It has no business being in a life-saving job. None whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if they're physically able to do it, the mentality is absolutely wrong.
By the way, if my house is on fire, the only thing I need you to understand is fire bad, water good. I don't need you to understand my plight. I need you to put the fire out. And thinking that people are looking for more than that is self-important behavior, right? They want to know who I am. No, man, if my house is on fire, I need a dude in a mask and a jacket to point the water that way. And that's it.
I'd like him to be about 1.5 feet taller than me, and all of his friends also about 1.5 feet taller than me, and jacked.
Yes.
And with better eyesight than I have.
And I don't care if they're all black, all Hispanic, all Asian.
Nope.
If they can do all that, I want them to come and try to.
By the way, Watcher, good luck getting a firefighter who looks like you.
Yeah.
I just want to say, Joe, I don't. Here's the thing. I could tell you never watched Captain Planet because it was one of the critical parts of Captain Planet was heart, and so emotions are important, sir.
I thought it was liver. Weird. So real quick, that was awful. And now a quick palate cleanse. Snow is coming. Remember proper snow removal techniques from your vehicle.
That is the best way to clear snow.
Oh, that kid is having the time of his life. He doesn't even know what's going on.
I know the kid's probably laughing. And, somebody go, "Oh my God, this is so terrible." The kid's having a ball. That's the funnest thing he's ever done.
Yeah. Sorry to this is my joke of the segment here. Firefighting is mostly white and male. A California program aims to change that. Here is failure of firefighting in one picture. And this is like all three of the losers in Los Angeles County. Hunch a Dirty Roofer for $10 says he says, Watcher, to be fair, not many people are a 1.5 foot taller than you, sir.
You have a point.
That is true.
Special breeding programs for genetically enhanced firefighters. That's what I'm calling.
Yeah, steroids for all firefighters.
You know what, though? I'm pretty sure that the neighbor kids across the highway from here saw you while you were here, Watcher. Because when they built their snowman, and we'll show a picture on the next show, they built a Wendigo snowman. It's got antlers and everything. I'm like, that's Watcher.
Evidently, this is this is the diversity of the. We're not sharing.
Oh.
Yeah. This is the diversity of the LA Fire Department here. Just get a load of what. Being whipped. What the fuck? I mean,
why are we watching this?
Yeah.
I want people to know why their houses are burning down.
Why is that something that you should be proud of?
It's degeneracy, is what it is.
And then y'all got mad when I said, "Hey, for no reason whatsoever, I'll point out that God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah with fire."
What is somebody in the chat on Wednesday? Joe said, "R.I.P. Lot's wife."
What?
R.I.P. Lot's wife.
Yeah. Killer assault, baby.
Yeah.
Killer assault.
Yeah, because you said that on Wednesday, and we were all kind of agreeing, and then
you ought to see the thread on Twitter about it. I made a lot of people mad with that, but it's just the truth. It's just the truth.
So definitely what we're seeing now are the kind of third order effects of all this kind of stuff, and kind of going off of what that lady was saying in the earlier video. We're not screwing around. LA sheriff declares curfew amid arson and looting chaos. Criminal gangs have reported looting mansions in fire-ravaged LA County. Let's see, go down to the story part. It's all videos. And
to be fair, they were running rampant beforehand too.
Yeah, fair. I don't know, Watcher, you want to play the second video here? This is looting. Yeah, that one. When you went by. Yeah, this one. He got his stuff. He's on the way out.
Hey, how do you know that's not full of bread, Scott?
That's true. It's probably for his family.
There we see the flat screen TV shaped bread.
So, a curfew is only as good as your ability to enforce it.
Yeah.
And I don't know that they're going to be able to do that, right? They're already strapped for people. This is where the tactical wisdom community security operations course comes into play. You protect your neighborhood and let the sheriff worry about whatever else they got to worry about.
So the Kenneth fire, which is another one of these fires, was started by an arsonist who was tackled and detained by citizens, according to police. So at least some of the Americans are getting out there and doing what they can. Joe, you had mentioned earlier that you kind of see this as a eat the rich kind of probably an aspect, at least some part of these fires.
Some of those fires, yes.
I don't know that the Palisades fires is necessarily that. Some of these smaller fires actually make sense that that's exactly what happens.
Right there, they literally caught this guy in the act. And this guy, they caught him. He had some sort of a flame throwing device
Yeah.
5 cell phones, and a UN pass that you use for the bus to transit through Mexico. He had all of that on him.
And
So,
what do you bet? What do you bet this guy disappears down a hole?
oh, guaranteed. Guaranteed. Once the agency that helped him get here finds out where he's at, he's gone. So.
Yeah. Curfew will be strictly enforced, they added. We're not screwing around with this. We don't want people taking advantage of our residents that have been victimized already. Threat number 2 is fire. 1 is fire. Threat number 2 is the chaos afterwards. Let's see. LA time. Go ahead. Play this one.
All right now is that the incident started here, and about 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, a suspect was detained over in Woodland Hills area by citizens.
So someone purposely set the Kenneth fire?
At this time, that's what we believe, yes.
Do you know how or why they did that?
That I don't know.
Is this a crime scene right now?
Yes.
So everything's closed off?
It's being investigated as a crime.
So a couple of points that we do talk about in our class is that you are going to be on your own, right? So you have to have some sort of defensive network set up. The other thing we talk about in our class, and he just mentioned it, knowing your state's citizens arrest laws. Not because you want to be out there arresting people, but because you might have to, right?
Yeah.
And it's a classic example of it. If they had just stopped the guy from lighting that fire and let him go, he would have just gone on to light another fire. So, need to know those laws. And I also mentioned that one of the funniest things about Twitter is that everyone talks about how they're preparing for just this kind of lawlessness. And when I suggested, hey, defend your property, everyone was like, oh my God, no, I don't want to go to jail and this, that, and the other thing. So listen, in every state in the union, I'm sorry, if someone breaks into an occupied dwelling, you can shoot them. It's really that simple. And I know Sean's over there going, oh, don't say things like that. But it is true.
I'm just, I mean, the fire's right there. Things burn up all the time. Just
yeah, I mean, all you got to do is I was in fear for my life. I didn't know what they were there for. They broke into my house, and there were 5 of them and 1 of me.
No,
I
mean,
I don't know about legality. I thought you were talking about physically. Like, physically, that's an action I could take.
Instead of shoot, shovel, and shut up, I'm just saying, like, there's the fire right there.
Hey, there's the fire.
Right.
I'm just saying. You could do that.
And listen, out here, I got bears, lions, and wolves, so I'm not really worried about body disposal. It'll work itself out pretty quick.
Yeah, free cremation service.
Here was that statement Scott was talking about just a minute ago.
Yeah, there's a fire.
Again, just specifically, anyone found in violation of this curfew will be subject to arrest for a misdemeanor offense under LA County Code Section 2.68320, and conviction may result in a fine up to $1,000 or jail time. And I'm telling you right now, I know people talk about no bail, and I've given direction that if somebody's caught doing this, they are not going to get cited and released. They're going to get booked. We are not screwing around with this. We don't want anyone taking advantage of our residents that have already been victimized.
That's all great until the DA decides to, these indeterminate nationality looters, we can't hold them. Let's go ahead and release them.
They're super serial right now, you guys.
All right. Peter says helicopter tours for $5 over the Rumble chat. He says, I recall Newsom signed some bill or grant alongside Trump committing to maintain deadfall. There was a press conference where Newsom committed to 10 years of it. If I recall, he owns this, put him on trial. Yeah. So, that shit just never happen. He just said it and ignored it because it's not a priority. In fact, the mayor of Los Angeles redirected $17 million away from the fire department and then increased by $20-something million care for illegal immigrants within the LA area. So your fire money went to pay for illegal immigrant care. So congratulations. Pinochet's helicopter for $2 over in Rumble. Yesterday, the LAPD was insistent it wasn't arson. This is a UN NGO arson funded by Soros. Get them before they get you. I don't know who started it, but it's definitely there's more to this. So the final story I wanted to kind of hit on with this is kind of like the moral theme of all this, right? And that kind of can be summed up by this. Who knew that the best way to convert utopian woke Democrats into reality-based thought systems would be to burn down their houses? Now, that makes sense. That briefs well, but ultimately it's going to depend on what happens next. And, Joe, you were a little skeptical that some of these leftists are going to come around. I am also skeptical, but I hope it does, because that would mean that nature is kind of you burn out the deadwood and nature reasserts itself. But you never know with neo-Marxists. The wealthy showbiz folk occupying the moral high ground around the Pacific Palisades voted Democrat by 90%. They were fully on board with the agenda of the Party of Chaos, especially the diversity, equity, and inclusion, of the firefighting department there in LA County. The open border that allowed a huge deluge of mysterious strangers to flood the country. Now reports come across at X that these mysterious folks were cruising the wreckage in the canyons on scooters and their cars to loot everything of value. The police have shown video capturing mystery migrant with a blowtorch suspected of starting the latest outbreak at the Kenneth Fire. Loud and proud DEI firefighters are stymied in their work by neighborhood fire hydrants that were disappointingly not full of water, as they put it. Is that how this works? Each hydrant is supposed to get filled up on the regular schedule by the water pixies. Now that the LA Mayor Karen Bass was unavailable for early innings of the conflagration, having flown to West Africa. Mr. Newsom had been lately working to pass a $25 million bill fund measures for Trump-proofing California. For that same $25 million, he could have hired 500 workers at $50,000 a year to cut brush around Los Angeles County. That is, if he didn't avail himself of work gangs from the California penitentiaries. You can't overstate the amount and to the degree of family devastation that is endured over the months and years ahead with this. And then, of course, we watched the video from Adam Carolla. And it's just, this whole thing is just one nightmare after another, created entirely by the democratic system. They own this in its entirety, and they have no fucking excuse.
It's not like a certain Middle East terror group that launched massive attacks against civilians on October 7th has a history of using arson as a terror attack.
Yes.
Crazy.
I mean, Scott, I'd like to say they can't keep getting away with this, but
they can keep. I mean,
they can't keep getting away with this.
Yeah, I mean, we can say that they can't keep getting away with it, and they keep getting away with it.
Well, we just remember 6 years ago we had horrendous fires, and that brought Gavin Newsom, the unlikely bedfellows of the Gavin Newsom and Trump together, and Trump basically called out all the stupid shit and we played that on Wednesday, and Gavin Newsom was right there next to him saying, yep, we're gonna fix this, and here we are 6 years later. Trump's getting ready to take over again, and the sad thing is there's not a damn thing Trump can do about the management of California forests. Nothing, unless it's a federally managed area. There's nothing he can do about it. Final thoughts, guys, on any stuff with the fire. Like I said, this is not over, but barring some big news, I doubt we'll probably dive too deeply into the fire going forward.
Well, there is a potential for a George Floyd-esque moment when the sheriff's department forcefully deals with a looter, and he just happens to be, of a persuasion. So watch for that.
Yeah, you might get your trans Floyd when a looter.
I don't know that it'll be trans, but something. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Let's move on to topic 2, Trumpology here. So first up in Trumpology, now that we got Sean here to kind of talk us through all things court and legal, we've got the political witch hunt. Trump rages after judge rules no jail, fines for hush money convictions. So walk us through this. What exactly happened here? It's basically like a push. I mean, or is it just like no result? Is that basically hey, he's guilty, but no jail time? What's the deal?
I mean, there are times where this would be proper, like if you've already served time, or in the reality it wasn't that big a deal, like you got jaywalking or something. They'd say, yeah, okay, whatever, just get lost. This is just done solely to dress him down. That's all Rashawn was. That's his job at this point. Dress him down, make him sit, because you know what? He got Trump, and I tried to say this earlier today when I was with Eric Hunley. He was able to force Trump to have to sit there, and he had to listen to it. He made Trump take it. And for, on the left, this is like they're always obsessed with the power and the idea that, it gets funny. They consider Trump, being a rapist and all that, but like they're thrilled that Trump was forced to sit there against his will and have to sit there and have to do this and have to be, made to take this. I mean, it's purely political because, yes, if normally a 79-year-old guy who's got no criminal record committing largely nonviolent, all nonviolent offenses with no real victim, yes, probation would be the proper way to handle this.
Right.
But that's, this was all done just to belittle him. This is all they could do. This is the last thing they could do. Because if Rashawn had done anything to him, the Supreme Court even indicated, which I think this is disgusting from them, saying, well, it's not a big deal. It's not like he's really getting punished, so we don't care right now.
Right.
But that's, I thought injustice was injustice no matter how big or small, and all of that. But apparently that doesn't, thanks, Justice Barrett, on that one. But that's the thing here. This was done because this is all they could do left. And there's a reason why Rashawn let him show up via video, because that was clear his way of establishing, obviously, I can't arrest him over the video. And that was their way of handling it. And since that was going to happen, like I said, this is the last thing they could do to him. So this is what they're doing.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Well, so the sad thing is that out of all the court cases and everything that was brought against him, literally nothing played out for them. I mean,
no.
This is probably the most successful one, and even this is that thing that nobody ever. This is
the only successful one,
right? Well, I was gonna say, but even this, they say this is something that nobody's ever been prosecuted for. Everybody involved says no crime occurred, and basically, if any other judge, jury were to look at this, they would absolutely throw it out, essentially.
Well, I mean, it's, I'd like to say that other places will throw it out, but I mean, like, it's not going to get thrown out till it gets to the Supreme Court, and that's going to happen well after Trump is done. So at that point, it's kind of like the Harry Reid thing when he was making all the crap up about Mitt Romney. He's like, "Well, it worked. I don't care. It's done. The damage was done. Oh, it gets undone later. The narrative is already out there, and you could wipe it all out tomorrow." But they're like, "Fine, it served its purpose." Obviously, it didn't work as planned, but this still caused him damage.
They're literally doing the meme, ladies and gentlemen. We got him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's worth letting Donald Trump speak for himself on this. This is from his Truth Social post. He says, the radicalized Democrats have lost another pathetic, un-American witch hunt after spending tens of millions of dollars, wasting over 6 years of obsessive work that should have been spent on protecting New Yorkers from violent, rampant crime. that is destroying the city and state, coordinating with the Biden-Harris administration injustice in lawless weaponization, and bringing completely baseless, illegal, and fake charges against your 45th and 47th president, me. I was given an unconditional discharge. The result alone proves that all legal scholars and experts have said there is no case, there never was a case, and the whole scam fully deserves to be dismissed. The real jury of the American people have spoken by re-electing me with an overwhelming mandate in one of the most consequential elections in history. We will appeal this hoax. There has no merit and restore true trust of Americans to our great system of justice. So, yeah, I mean, he said his piece, and no surprise that that's where he came down on this. Allegan News.
Allegan.
Isn't that what I just said? Allegan?
No.
And Scott, Allegan is not a city in Ukraine, so you should be able to get this.
I said Allegan. I don't know what you guys are hearing. I said the exact same thing.
You did not say Allegan. Anyway, carry on.
Anyway, that's what I said. With the U.S. Law, we all commit 3 felonies a day, and this is best they could find on Trump. Yeah, that's the crazy thing, right? In a kind of Berea-like thing, show me the man and I'll show you the crime. They were unable to find any real crimes.
Some of you need to up your game, because I'm committing way more than 3 felonies a day.
I commit no felonies at all, ever.
Have you ever replaced a light bulb with an incandescent bulb?
Hey,
you committed a federal crime.
Actually, I don't think I mostly use LEDs. Sean, I have a question. Speaking of the Supreme Court, did you follow any of this TikTok thing?
I didn't have a chance to do it today. No.
I was looking at one of the threads where somebody was kind of going through some of the quotes and whatnot. It sounds pretty mumbo jumbo-ish. I get the feeling we're getting ready to get screwed on this whole thing. At least from the oral arguments that were presented in the thread. I mean, they're trying to say that TikTok is separate, or you can't separate them from ByteDance, and so because of so you can't ban just one or not the other. Are you? So you're not really tracking it.
I've been tracking it. It's just, I mean, the biggest thing for TikTok is they've got so many foreign investors that don't want to sell. TikTok's kind of screwed in that regard. And it's not just the Chinese. They have a ton of foreign investors who don't want to give up what they've got, because TikTok is making money hand over fist. And the number one TikTok country right now is Indonesia.
Yeah.
We're like 300 million, goofballs, but there's an entire world out there that's not giving them crap. So, as much as they're fighting here, I just don't know if they're gonna. I don't know if the Supreme Court's gonna do what they probably should do in this case, and take the CCP's ability to screw with our country away. But
my reading of this was that it's a very complex issue, and that probably the easiest way to take that away from the American public is basically just to ban TikTok altogether. I don't know how easy that is to do, but there it is. All right, let's move on to the next one in the Trumpology segment. So the other day we talked at length about some of the various expansionary kind of ideas that Donald Trump has, one of them being Greenland. And when I saw this headline, I was just kind of like, wait a second, this does not kind of track with everything, because everybody's been all indignant about Trump talking about Greenland, whereas the Greenland prime minister said on Friday that he's not spoken with Donald Trump regarding the president-elect's recent interest in buying the Danish-controlled territory, but that he's ready to talk as the status quo is no longer an option. This was so that kind of took me aback, right? Now we were talking early on about like how this would happen if it stayed a territory. I guess you could just buy it, but at least it would have to go through the Senate. Sean, me and Joe were talking about this before the show started. Sean, you got any insights on how they would even do this?
I mean, really, like technically, Greenland is a colony. It's a possession of Denmark.
Yeah.
As I talked about a couple days ago, Trump bullied the Danish crown because, well, I think they're probably working on it, but they changed their coat of arms for the Danish crown to show the Faroe Islands and Denmark as their distinct entities and not just like some little footnote.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, ultimately, I mean, we keep on hearing international rules-based order. Let's have a plebiscite. What do the people of Greenland want to do?
Yeah, what do they?
I mean, if they have a referendum and they want to come to America, I mean, what's Denmark going to do about it?
Botswana, the same thing. They would vote to be Americans.
Yeah. Well,
but that's my point, though. We can't make the world America.
No, it's not. We can't make the world America. But
granted, there's only about 60,000 people on Greenland.
Yes,
they are
but I'm not worried about
dependent on handouts.
I get that. I'm not worried about Muckluck, and they can be a territory. Not worried about Muckluck. I'm worried about all the resources in Denmark, and I'm worried about the resources in the Arctic that we don't have access to because Alaska's only on part of it. Like, there's a lot of things up there, like there's that's one of the battlegrounds.
All right,
there's a reason why Canada and Denmark are fighting over there.
Is in Sweden.
What's that?
I was asking. Somebody's asking about the seed bank. I think that's actually in Sweden.
That's in Svalbard. Yeah. That's not in
Svalbard. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean Norway. Yeah, Svalbard is part of Norway.
Yeah, it's somewhere up there. It's not right there. It's all up in the ice. So,
this kind of goes into some of the quotes from this press conference. So speaking next to the Danish Prime Minister Frederiksen at a joint press conference, Eged emphasized the need from investment in resource development as well as diversified industries in order to reduce dependency on Danish subsidies, which goes exactly what you were saying, Joe, that they're entirely, basically a dependent kind of territory. He said that Greenland is also for Greenlanders. We don't want to be Danes. We don't want to be Americans. We obviously want to be Greenlanders. Fredrickson, meanwhile, says he is asked to speak with Trump. We've suggested a conversation with Trump, and I expect that to take place. What I would like to see is, Joe, we've been talking about this as from a standpoint of like, there's only one potential outcome that they become a territory of the U.S. I wonder if there's some way that we could get some sort of exclusive lease on land there, maybe like a 99-year lease for mineral exploitation for American purposes, or
if we know that these crucial, vital, and valuable elements are there, I'm pretty sure the Danish crown does too.
Yeah, but apparently the people of Greenland
are not exactly going to be that willing to give them up. And what this guy is trying to do is start a bidding war.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree with that because they want to get paid.
Here's the thing. I'd like to take whatever money we're about to dump into this and give it to the people of North Carolina.
I'm fine with that as well.
Yeah, same here. It's just one of those kind
of. This is something to give you an optic win. You can say, Trump is great. Look what he has done. While the FBI and ATF continue to exist and trample your rights.
Well, I mean, he was never going to get rid of those.
I know.
It's just like the Doge.
This is the distraction to get you to stop thinking about it.
Well, he's never getting those. It's just like Doge. They might fire like one guy, but that's probably going to be it.
Yeah.
If that.
And for those saying, isn't Greenland strategic for naval and air bases? Already have them. We're already there.
Yes, we already have Thule up in the north.
Yeah.
And Thule's like all the way up there.
All right, let's see.
Jabba Dun says, how much of Iceland or Greenland's buried under glaciers? Like almost all of it. Scott says Greenland is banned drilling for oil. Well, not for long.
So this is Eric Prince. As we know, let's see. Blackwater founder Eric Prince said in a recent interview that Trump's first administration was closer than anyone knew to securing groundbreaking agreement with Denmark to take control of Greenland. He says, I think what Trump had proposed last administration was effectively a 50-50 revenue share where the U.S. would take over the overhead costs because it costs Denmark $10 billion a year for policing, security, administration of Greenland. The U.S. would take that on, but would basically split the revenue of any mining and energy development together with Greenland. And I think it's a good deal for Denmark and a good deal for the U.S. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
because it just like some other territories around the world, there is no native Greenland police. The police there actually come from mainland Denmark. As much mainland as Denmark can have. It's a bunch of collection of islands and rocks. But that is an interesting point. It does cost quite a pretty penny for that. Are we willing to do that?
Yeah, I think the only way that we would be willing to do that if Greenland basically acquiesce and allow full mineral exploitation of their, which I don't think they have been okay with that up to now. So
I don't think they're going to be, because they know they're sitting on a gold mine. So
that's just it. Like if you don't get access to the stuff, then ultimately, I think, and maybe that's why they want to take it over completely, because then we could dictate terms to them. I don't know. Anyway, I just thought this was an interesting wrinkle in the whole debate that I haven't heard from anywhere else. I thought I'd bring it up. Let me
just real quick while you're thinking of. Oh, go ahead.
$5 from Peter Provenzano. Our father's blue-collar jobs was shipped overseas. We've had to train our H-1B replacements. But look, guys, we bought Greenland. Yeah, you're not wrong there.
I did, however, just see something I can't unsee, and now you're all going to see it too.
I know, that thing was beautiful. That is a thing of beauty right there.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think that was shared in our fan chat. That was pretty funny.
Did you guys have the Yemeni surplus ad?
Oh yeah, I did see that.
This is great. This is hilarious. I want to go to this store.
Was Krashiki? Was he the one that shared that?
Yes.
Stephen Cooper for $2 said, "Send the Chicago PD to Greenland."
No, I don't want them beating the Greenland people. They're not good.
Death goes up 900% after
600 people murdered a year in Greenland. That's not good.
No, what we'll send them is the Bureau of Indian Affairs police, like we do on the reservations.
Yeah,
we make the tip of Greenland a reservation, Joe.
Well, don't
50,000 Greenlanders go to the Reds.
Don't let the BIA run that. That would be a crime to those
Joe, even better. They take all the Greenlanders off Greenland and then send them to like Mississippi into some reservation.
What you do is
you don't have a treaty with
the
them.
Russians for policing, because they're all Siberian Americans over there anyway.
Yeah, send the Yakut or whatever. Or what are those people? Is that Yakut?
The North Koreans?
Koreans. Yes, the North Koreans. Yeah.
The Yakuts.
Yeah, the Yakuts. Yeah, I think that's what they're called.
So here was that.
Okay.
Here was that thing.
علّ الكومندوز لجميع المستلزمات العسكرية بدلات جواكت يلقات بيادات وكذلك نواظير وكذلك جميع الميريات موجودة في محل الكومندوز وكذلك شجار وجيوب للمسدسات الوكيل الوحيد في كل المستلزمات وكل المتطلبات للجنود هتلقوها في هذا المحل محل الكومندوز في
Allah, who gets the savings? Allah, you gets the savings.
Yes.
Inshallah.
That's going to be a fun store to go to. If it wasn't in Yemen.
If it wasn't, yeah, that's right. Sanaa is not the place I want to go shopping for. Temu level tactical gear. All right. So our last story here. Speaking of Russia, by the way, our Siberian Americans. Trump confirms meeting being set up with Putin as Kremlin expresses readiness. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has confirmed a meeting being set up between him and Russian President Vladimir Zelensky. He wants to meet, and we're setting it up.
President Vladimir Zelensky?
Yeah, that's what it
Isn't it? Well, Vladimir is Vladimir, isn't it? Just Ukrainian eyes.
Isn't that what I said? Vladimir. Oh,
well,
did I
they're
say
both Vladimir.
Zelensky? Yeah. Vladimir Putin. I apologize. Yeah, I'm so used to hearing Vladimir Zelensky. Volodymyr, right? That's the Ukrainian version. I can't tell the difference between the two countries. They're fighting each other. Who cares, right? While giving no specific timeline details, they said they want to meet and we're setting it up. The day prior, Trump had also said President Putin wants to meet. The Kremlin has yet to confirm talks, but has repeatedly said Putin remains open to the possibility. He has said that even publicly that we have to get the war over and that it's a bloody mess, Trump had said on Thursday as part of remarks. Moscow's newest Friday statement reaffirmed openness to such a meeting, but that any concrete steps to set up such talks could be made once Mr. President is sworn into office on the 20th. We need a mutual desire and political willingness to engage in dialogue, Putin spokesperson Peskov said. We see that Mr. Trump also declares his readiness to solve issues via dialogue. We welcome that. It looks like things will start off to move after Trump enters the Oval Office. Gentlemen, thoughts on actual movement on talks between Putin and Trump?
This is another thing that's just going to drive the left nuts.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And
it's going to drive Republicans nuts.
Yeah. Hey, Rick, Duke of Malta, for Zelensky, it doesn't matter. This is like mom and dad talking about a divorce. The kids don't get a say.
Yeah, the kids don't get a say.
Exactly right.
That's actually a really good analogy. But yeah, it's just one more thing that's going to send everyone through the roof, and then he's going to make some concession to them, and it's.
Yeah, I'm sure the Russians.
One of the things that was best done in private rather than publicly.
Oh, Jim, I don't know if the Russian. Well, I don't think they can get to the Dnieper before the 20th. They would have to teleport there at the rate they're going. But if they did, if they made it to the Dnieper, I'm assuming the Poles would try to move into Western Ukraine, because that would be the collapse of the Ukrainian army at that point. I mean, not saying it's not collapsing, but that would be a complete destruction.
I was going to say, and
but. I mean, they're making good progress for having to do trench warfare and hide from drones all the time, but it's a long way. It's a long way to Tipperary from where they're at.
No, we don't use that. We now say Mukumbura.
No, it's a long way to Mukumbura.
Rhodesia from Ireland.
It's a long way to Mukumbura.
Okay, so it's a long way to Joel.
Yeah. Go down a little further, Watcher, and play the video from the RT post here.
A ton of world leaders have called you as well. We understand still no call with Putin. Is that a day one or week one call?
No, he wants to meet, and we're setting it up. President Xi, we've had a lot of communication, and we have a lot of meetings set up with a lot of people. Some have come, but I'd rather wait till after the 20th.
And when you say meet with Putin or meet with Xi, do you guys want to have some kind of a summit, or are they going to come here?
To be determined, but President Putin wants to meet. He's said that even publicly, and we have to get that war over with. That's a bloody mess.
Yeah. Oh. That's always tough when I have that echo set up. I don't know why it still does that. All right, gentlemen, that's the end of Trumpology. Joe, looking forward to the weekend. What do you see? I mean, we got 9 days before the inauguration.
I would watch organizing activity over the next 9 days, and these protests like just popped up suddenly. I'd expect them to start ramping them up this weekend and throughout the week, culminating in what they anticipate to be a very violent weekend, the 18th through the 20th. So I would be watching for that.
Yep. I think there's a lot of fertile ground between here and there. And especially there's been kind of rumblings that something might happen in and around the actual inauguration celebration on or about the 20th. So we'll see. Sean, same for you. Looking into the weekend, thoughts?
I mean, just pay attention. I mean, I am surprised at how quiet it's been, and the longer it stays quiet, the more that's unnerving me. That the longer it gets quiet, the worse it's going to be. So I'm just, something is coming. I just don't know what it's going to be at this point. I guess just keep watching the fires and let's see, as much like watching Kami suffer, hopefully it stops at some point, because I don't think they're going to get it no matter what.
Yeah. Watcher?
Yeah, just be careful out there. I don't have much to say, to be honest. But
yes,
thanks for showing up, guys. We really appreciate you. There's over 400 of you out there, and thanks for being here. Please hit the like button.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys all. As far as looking to the future, I think the next 9 days is going to be critical. I think that what will be interesting is how quiet the international scene will be leading right up to the 20th and then immediately following the 20th.
Because China's not making any moves at all, right?
I think getting up to there, I think once the 20th comes up, I think countries, to include China, are going to kind of take a pregnant pause to see how Trump reacts. And if they think they can get one over on him after a couple of weeks, I think that's when you'll start to see silly season begin again. So that's my assessment. I could be wrong, but hey, that wouldn't be the first time. All right, gentlemen, thank you guys all for being here. Chat, you're always killing it, as always. Gentlemen of the council, thank you as always again as well. If you haven't done it already, please like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications, and let people know about the content you're getting here on the CFC. Let them know that for a good insight into what the hell's going on in the world of conflict, you can find it here. Again, chat, you're killing it as always. Thank you very much. A lot of super chats today. I appreciate all the support. Just kind of looking to make sure I got them all. I think I did. All right. So thank you guys again for all the support, and as always, be safe.